السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير، غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. حسبنا الله لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. حسبنا الله لا إله إلا أنت عليك توكلنا وأنت رب العرش العظيم. وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وارنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وارنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. With the grace of Allah, Alhamdulillah, we are going to start the story of Prophet Abraham in the Quran today, and it will be an exciting journey again. As usual, every prophet is here mentioned in the Quran in order to emphasize the importance of one aspect of belief system introduced in the Quran and how it should be established in our life in practical terms. Sorry. So we will try to see the message of the Quran as far as our present-day life is concerned, but at the same time, we should bear in mind that it has many other aspects that we are not going to emphasize on. Maybe from time to time, we may just slightly touch upon them, which is the grammatic structure of the verses, significant and transfer some significant message. We may do that from time to time, and also how this story really relates to the life of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. So, because we have studied, or I have prepared the PowerPoint from various verses of the Quran and various sections of the Quran, so we cannot say that this part is directly related to the Meccan life of the Prophet, and that part is directly related to the Medinian part of the prophetic life, but we will try to really refer it to our practical life rather than seeing the narration from Sira tradition perspective. We do always follow this way in our discussions, but as an introduction to a new life of the Prophet's prophetic story in the Quran, I just wanted to give a reminder. It is important to notice that the Prophet Abraham's story is not really told, definitely not like the story of Joseph in the Quran, and also, again, like the story of Moses in the Quran. What are the differences between the story of Joseph and the story of Abraham? Joseph's story is just really mentioned from the beginning to the end in one section of the Quran. Moses' story also divided into various parts, the various aspects of the Moses' experience presented to us in a longer versions, and not everywhere in the Quran, but 3-4 parts of the Quran mainly refer to it, to its life story. Whereas the story of Jesus, just we finished, mentioned in various verses of the Quran, in various sections, but not very frequently mentioned in the Quran. When it comes to the Prophet Abraham's story, it is amazing to see that it is scattered everywhere in the Quran. It is in the first revealed sections, last revealed sections, scattered everywhere, and just as if it is so strange if we are not really ready to understand how the message of the Quran is intermingled with each other, we may, or a surprise may take us, seeing that the subject was completely different, and the story of Abraham just jumped into the subject, and only 5-10 verses are mentioned and passed, and went back to the another subject. Seems to be not really contextualized if we look at them superficially. So we will be surprised seeing that as if Quran jumps from one subject to another. But a close attention notices that whatever is mentioned, it has been mentioning in the Quran or in that section, if you see that suddenly the Prophet Abraham's story is just mentioned and touched upon one aspect of the Abraham's story in his life. That aspect is directly related to the subject matter discussed in that part of the section. So mainly emphasizing on the struggle of the message of Tawheed, uniqueness, absoluteness of one God. It means the only creator of the whole universe needs to be acknowledged. There are many aspects. That's why I found it so difficult. How can I categorize his life? Not historically mentioned in the Quran. It means according to the chronological narrations of the Quran. No, I think I said, let me do it as a mission of the Prophet Abraham in different parts. It may be surprising for you if I tell you the number of the verses mentioned in the Quran related to Prophet Abraham, somehow directly. It is so surprising to me. I mean, you can guess now. I'm not going to ask any of you particularly, of course, but how many verses might have been devoted to the story of Abraham in the Quran? You can guess, but I mean, you can write down if you like in the chat box, or open, unmute your phone and tell. But I have the number in my notes. So I will give you the number. You will say, my guess is over-exaggerated or underestimated. 208 verses of the Quran directly mentions about the story of Abraham. Scattered everywhere doesn't seem to be a lot. But because it is the backbone of the teachings of the Quran, Tawheed, absoluteness of the Creator, absoluteness of the Lord of the world, which Abraham's story mentions, Lord of the world, Rabbul Alameen, Rabbul Alameen. That is important, inshallah. While we are studying the story, we will touch upon it from time to time. Okay. Let's go to the second slide, which is the title. Okay, let's something awesome set 400 plus. 208 it is. Good expectation, but all the related subjects to Abraham's lifestyle and also Abraham's mission, maybe to 400 plus. So, okay, thank you. Search, Abraham is searches observable witness for his belief. This is important. Abraham doesn't refer to the other prophets who were sent before him, but only says, I have to see witnesses. I have to see witnesses for my belief. Without witness, I'm not convinced. Even when he was really searching, he was really spreading, delivering the message to the people. He was always using his reasoning, human reasoning, and from time to time, taking the evidence from the creation, from the universe, and communicating with the universe through reasoning, also through his emotional attachments to the universe, and analyzing it from sensual perspective as well. We will see how it goes, inshallah. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let's now read chapter section 6. Which is the name of the section, An'am. Yeah, name of section, An'am. Now, in verse 75. وكذلك نري إبراهيم ملكوت السماوات والأرض.
Can you see the verse, please?
Thank you. Now, وكذلك نري إبراهيم ملكوت السماوات والأرض ليكون من الموقنين. Now, this is the introduction to Abraham's story in that section of the Quran. So, in this way, in the following way, we made Abraham to understand God's mighty dominion. But this is the translation. Melekut as-samawat wal-ard. The Quran lets us know that God had shown the melekut, angelic side of the heavens and the earth, so that he might become a firm believer. It means he might reach certainty in his belief, not assumption, certainty in his belief. We understand from that. Let's start from the end of the verse. In order to have certainty in my belief, rather than only a logical conclusion, the universe looks perfect, somehow wonderful, there must be a creator. It's not certainty, it's an intellectual, rational conclusion. There must be, but not necessarily that definitely there is. Otherwise, impossible for me to make sense of my own existence as well as the existence of the universe. Surely, I mean, I cannot imagine otherwise at all. Muqinin, yaqeen. So in order to reach this absolute certainty in this world, I mean, it was technically a wrong expression. There cannot be absolute certainty in this world, but in the created world, because created world cannot have any kind of absolute nature, it was my try to express my feelings that definitely it is. So I use the word, but technically it is wrong to use the word within this context. Absolute. Absolute can only be used in terms of the source of existence and its qualities. That's it. That is something else. Now, Melekut Samawat, we from time to time refer to it because of its importance. We will repeat it here. Angelic side of the heavens and earth. Heavens and earth phrase in the Quran refers to created universe altogether in its entirety. So we can make one word for it, angelic side of the universe, including me, of course. I am a part of the universe. What does it mean? The real meaning, not false meaning, the contrast to false meaning and real meaning. No, the essence of the message in the existence of the universe or every part of it lets me know to human consciousness, human intelligence, this must be a conscious choice by a one who must have every quality at the level of absoluteness. Why? Every being in the universe needs to come into existence an absolute power. Why absolute power? Absolute knowledge. Why? Because if the source of existence is not absolute, it means it is limited, it is needy, it is dependent. Because it is numbered. It means it is a beginning at the end. Therefore, with its own capacity, within its own capacity, it cannot be the source of its own existence. It cannot be a self-existent being. In order to be a self-existent being, human logic necessitates that it must have a nature which cannot be describable within the conditions of this universe, because everything within exists within the conditions of this universe must be dependent, because they have a beginning, they have an end, they are subject to change, and they have to follow the order. They cannot act as they will, as they wish. Totally dependent, everything. So we understand that the creator, the source of existence of every single being, must be a self-existing being. In order to be a self-existing being, it must be not in need of anything. It must have no beginning, no end. As far as my capacity of the intellect is concerned, that thing I understand easily. As an intellectual being. That is my capacity. I am responsible within my capacity. I cannot go beyond my capacity, and I cannot do anything about something which is beyond my capacity. Therefore, I am not responsible for it. And my intelligence doesn't say that, no, 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 you have to find it, you have to find it. And my consciousness doesn't force me to do that. But when I say self-existing being must be an absolute being, and it should have no limit at all, we can simply say infinite by its own nature. And all my senses are satisfied with it. I cannot have any doubt about it. My duty in this world, as far as I understand from the way that I exist, is only not to contradict my reality. As far as I don't contradict my reality, I'm comfortable with it. And I have no doubts, I have no hesitations to look for another solution for my source of existence, satisfaction of my senses, and my feelings will be comfortable within themselves without finding themselves in trouble. Whatever the way I exist, whether I am the creature created by an absolute being, or even if I deny it and say I am the production of nature, whatever the way they explain it, I will say, okay, I am satisfied with my own being, and that is how I have to live accordingly. That is the principle or the main basis for my existence and for my living. I will have no contradiction, therefore no problem in my life. I will explain everything in terms of the creator of my existence. So whatever the name I say, it must be of the nature of absolute, nothing to do with this universe. The universe is its production, and this source is the creator or originator of this universe. That is why we have to look at the angelic side of the universe in order to be a comfortable, to have a comfortable life, not contradictory life, no strains, no complaints at all. Whatever happens, I will say, this is what it is decided by an absolute being. If, of course, I am convinced as Abraham is convinced. So God says, we have shown it. Yeah. To reach this satisfaction. How? Now, it is, let's say, the first verse, 75, we have to read it. We have to read it as ending with colon. How it happened. Now we will see the journey of Abraham. And through the journey of Abraham, we will experience that, I can go through this journey again in order to get the angelic side of the universe. It means the way it comes into existence. Melekut, the way it comes into existence, so that I will benefit from it. I have to pay attention to it, rather than, for example, looking at, the simple example, a bird. Now, a dog, for example. So, while looking at the dog, that what appears to be there is not angelic side of it. Angelic side of the bird is to pay attention how it is coming into existence. For example, it flies. Now, how the flying phenomenon comes into existence, and it is in balance in its creation, complementary to each other, two sides of the bird, symmetrically complementary to each other. How it is arranged. Think about how it came into existence, this balance in the existence of the bird. So it is designed, everything is perfectly fitting to the purpose of the existence of the bird as it is, what is the source of existence of this balance? Existence, 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 nothing else, which is called wujud in Arabic. Always wujud. We have to find out how it can be. How can I explain it? That is why when I look at the bird, I say, oh, I like the color. I like the design. Okay, that is a good sign. A quality appeal to you, or more than a quality actually, but some qualities in the existence of the bird appeal to you, and there is a communication between you and the qualities that you could observe in the existence of the world. This communication needs to be explained. The qualities that I observe in the existence, in the body of the bird, needs to be explained as far as its source of existence is concerned, and my feelings, which likes it, need to be explained as far as source of its existence is concerned, and the communication between me and the bird, who is really relating to each other through my consciousness. How the source of existence. We should not be carried away by saying birds are beautiful. That is, to me, a very meaningless sentence as far as my reality is concerned or my needs are concerned. This is beautiful. So what? What does it mean? I have to immediately ask this question. What does it mean for me? Why I said that it's beautiful? What do you mean by beautiful? Not make a philosophy of it. No, I mean, beauty cannot be describable, depends on the people's habits and the background information and cultural environment. No, not this. Existence of beauty. What did you get out of the existence of beauty that you observed in the bird? That is human. I mean, I don't want to be negative, but this civilization that the world is really drawn into, the world, not only one part of the world, everywhere, including all the religious people, followers of religious traditions, including Muslims, are really drawn into it. Birds are beautiful. That's it. Source of existence. Questioning the source of existence is totally forgotten. Scientific research never questioned the source of existence. They do question, but come up with a ridiculous explanation that it is randomly, accidentally developed by itself. Beauty of the bird. By who? But actions of the particles. Don't be ridiculous. Particles, whatever they actions they are subject to, cannot be the source of existence of an abstract notion that my abstract side senses communicate with. Beauty, meaning, perfection, wisdom, knowledge, symmetry. These are abstract notions. They have nothing to do with matter. And my intelligence, my feelings, my reasoning power, abstract notions, nothing to do with matter. How can you try to explain something in terms of matter as to be the source of existence of abstract notions? Ridiculous way of really just killing human feelings, human wonderings, human curiosity, that I have to question the melekutu samawati wal ard. We will see how the melekutu samawati wal ard, it means the angelic side of the universe, was shown to the Prophet Abraham. Of course, Prophet Abraham is you and me. Now we are reading it. God is telling me this. Now I have to listen to it. So if I give you an example saying that if a man or two children are growing in a family, and the family, the father and mother are drug addicted people, and two children, I'm telling you now the story, two children went away from the family after they reached certain ages. One of them went totally different from another brother went, and after 20 years later, they become united in the family and said, hello, how are you? What have you been doing? And he said, one of them said, do you take drugs? Of course. The other one said, why? Living in this family, everybody takes drugs. So inevitably I got it. How about yourself? He asked the other one. He said, yes, living in this family, seeing the example, how horrible my parents were, I never tasted the drug in my life. Now, what am I telling you here? Family background doesn't affect anybody. Depends on your choices. If someone says, if I explain this example, who was this man? What was the name of the man? Who was the father? How old was it? Ridiculous, isn't it? Even this event really took place, still asking these questions is irrelevant to the message. Yes, Abraham's story most probably took place historically. Does it bother me? No. If someone says, no, it didn't take place, doesn't bother me? No. Why? I have to take my lesson from it and get it as my story. As my story. So I have to concentrate on the message rather than whether it really happened or not. This is very important if we want to really benefit from this. Otherwise, as some people makes sure that this event really took place. Yeah, it is most probably did, so that God is given a lived, experienced life as an example to me. Most probably did it. But even if it did not. Does it bother me? Not at all. The same result. I have to listen to the case and see if it is really possible to practice in my life and do the same thing in my life. If it really directly relates to my life or not, that is my mission. So I never talk about it, never bothered about it. I have no doubt that it must have taken in a real life. That is why the Quran gives a picture of a real life experience. But still, it doesn't change my duty. How I should read these verses and see it in my life, how it affects my life. So let's come here. Very practically speaking, the following verse jumps into the subject and tells me how God showed him to find out the melekut samawat wal ard, angelic side of the universe. No. فلما جن عليه الليل رأى كوكبا قال هذا ربي. Now, we have to pay attention that in the story of Abraham, the prophet Abraham, apart from, I don't know whether some prayers have the word Allah, God, or not. Mostly, Abraham's story is emphasized on the word Lord, Rab. We will see now from the verse we are going to study, 76 onwards, the significance of using the word Lord rather than Allah. When the night overshadowed him, covered him. Now, Jannah, something covered and not known what is in it. Physically, not intellectually, physically. And Layl here, night. So we have to understand that night represents that the things were covered for Abraham, became mysterious. There is something in it. But what is that? It means, again, we see the reference to melekut of the thing is not known. He started the journey by wondering, something is covered here. What is that? What is that? Now, and he said, let me see. A star is happening there. And maybe the star is what I am looking for. This is my Lord. It means I will solve my problem. In my existence, apparently, if I don't question, it is Jannah. It means the word Jannah, covered up by darkness. I don't see what I am, what my reality is. I don't see at first, when I look at the appearance of it. Let's go back to the bird example. If I don't question the source of existence of the qualities manifested in the bird, in the existence of the bird, I see it, an object is flying there. That's it. Even if I am interested in seeing them beautifully moving in the air this way or another way, or getting together and moving like a fast moving cloud and making gestures, demonstrations. I say, okay, let me take the picture of it and share this exciting scenery with my friends. And if I don't question what is in it, it becomes covered up night. When I am dealing with meaningless object, but somehow interesting, even I don't question why they are interesting. That is, or that the Quran is teaching us. Unfortunately, this civilization never pays attention to this side of box, if you like. They talk about just covered up night conditions, not really seeing the reality of anything at all. How I can benefit from it. Looking at the bird, or that, let me say, now I heard that, or I tasted before, the meat of the bird is beautiful. Let me shoot and get it and eat it. Is it human? I mean, if someone can do it, it means he can do it only at the expense of killing his human side and thinking or assuming that their existence consists of body and body nourishment. That is how this world is. How can I benefit the civilization, the values of the civilization, the worldwide civilization? How can I benefit from, quote unquote, natural sources? How can I benefit it? As far as my bodily needs are concerned, never wonder what is in it. Never. That's it. That is what I found in the order of the universe, that I can make computer, I can make airplanes, examples, simple examples. So I can make weapons to impose my power, my ego, my caprices on other people, and claim that I am a super being, super nation, or whatever this trash languages they use. So what? You just satisfied your ambitions, caprices, and you died meaninglessly and finished. Endless life. Of course, they have to suffer. They have to suffer. So the night overshadowed him. That is what the beginning of the investigation. Now, human nature starts acting, questioning. He saw a star and said, "This is my Lord." It means this is what the box has in it, so I can refer my existence to it. It became now enlightened. That is what he thought. In the initiation, the beginning of his reflection over the event. It doesn't mean that, oh, how a prophet can think that the star can be his Lord, which kind of prophetic example it is. This way of reading the word is really makes me a bit irritated, saying that, oh, it is a temporary shirk. Oh, God, I say, you know, as if I'm going to kill myself. Which kind of understanding of revelation it is? It is so ridiculous. He is teaching my journey. representing in his life as a human being, so that he will reach the absolute firmness in his conviction of his belief, conclusions, so that he will be infinitely, as much as possible, humanly possible, satisfaction in his existence. It needs training, it needs stages of reflections. It is inevitable. That is how we are created, physically and otherwise. Well, physically, I was a cell. And then I became fetus. And then I became a totally dependent, powerless, poor baby. But I was rich. Everything I wanted is provided by everyone around me. Let's speak in terms of this world. And I am taken care of. I grow, and die in this world. Then go away from this world. Gradual. My senses also. As a child, I don't understand anything. I'm totally innocent. I'm trying to learn gradually. And the first thing I learned, no. My mother asks me, I said, no. So I don't want it. And then I think about it. Oh, yeah, maybe. You see, learning la ilaha, and to experience the form of la ilaha in my life. That is beautiful. So that, I want this, I don't want this. These senses will develop. Perfectly gradual education taking place in this world. So it must start from it. Can we say that how a person, how a prophet can be a baby? Yeah, he was a baby. Yes, he is a created being. Prophet doesn't mean absolute being. Of course, he was a baby. He needed to be cleaned, dependent totally on somebody else or some other people, etc., etc., etc. It is ridiculous to argue this because I read all these and went crazy. That's my feelings remained with me. I'm sharing this. This is my Lord. He's teaching me. You may think that when you see a thing which seems to be attracting your attention in the darkness of the meaningless of your existence, you may start saying that this may be the solution. I mean, nature, this, maybe instinct, yeah, maybe, let me think. They say instinct, how we act, how the animals and living beings act according to their instinct. They say, it may be, let me see. Does it make sense? Be a free thinker, man. Don't be prejudiced and say that, no, we are Muslims, we cannot say that. I mean, in order to become a Muslim, you have to go through these stages. Otherwise, your claim to be a Muslim will be completely missing the basis. So it becomes just a claim. So it is very human to assume that it may be my Lord. The significance of the word Lord. Lord means, it has, I don't know how to, Rab means the one who takes care of me. Of course, Lord does not necessarily mean this, but partially mean, if it is a good Lord in the conditions of, in the social context of human relationship, Lord takes care of somehow the slaves or subjects' needs, but at the same time benefits from it, not in this sense. The one, it is not really in a social context that Lord and serves. I think it is called serves. Let's say slaves. relationship. Nothing to do with it. The Rabb means the one who takes care of it, educates, makes prepares the things beforehand. Excuse me, let me shut this one up. So distracted my attention. Lord, we were talking about the Lord. So my Lord saying that this may be my owner taking care of my life because it is up there, overviewing everything at the same time, because I am within the context, I exist within the context of the universe. So the one who really takes care of me, for example, must be the really organizer of the clouds, organizer of the rains and the earth and the water and air and the sunlight, so that my existence will be under his surveillance or his control, his ownership. This, I may belong to him, what I understand. All my needs that I am subject to now, for example, I'm growing, I'm hungry, I need air, I need light, etc., etc. Endless things, all the universe I needed. For my feeling side, impossible to count. That might be the one who is doing that. Any option, not necessarily the star. Star may be an example here. It's as compared to, or in contradiction to, covering the night and something light. So night means totally unknown conditions of existence. Light means somehow meaningful explanation of my existence. But, sorry. فلما أفل قال لا أحب الآفلين. Now, when it went down, now the star disappeared. Of course, we know from astronomy that the star doesn't disappear, but it lost, as far as my capacity tells me, it is effect on me. It means, for example, if someone says, my existence is natural, accidental, when I say, oh, accidentally developed and became a perfect being as I am now, I say, it made me, why not? Possible, isn't it? Is it really? Well, consider. Doubts are beautiful. Without doubts, we cannot reach out to the truth. So, I mean, doubt cannot be produced, but if it happens, it is my reality. I may say, it may be, let me think. No, really? Accidentally happened, but accident. What is accident? Unconscious things. But do I see any unconscious action in this world? Think about it. Is it really possible? Unconscious things act unconsciously, and at the end became very meaningful, perfect being, and with unimaginable qualities in my existence. Feelings, intelligence, consciousness. I am questioning my own existence. Consciousness questions its own existence. What an amazing qualities. Can there be, or can we just explain it away by saying that accidentally it happened to be that? Although it has no meaning, but it seems to be meaningful. Oh, I should not ignore it. Can I say this? Can I ignore the purpose of my existence. Why am I here? It is my reality. I say, no, it went down. Efele disappeared. It doesn't make sense. I have to find a real satisfactory existence. And he said, yes, of course, I don't like the things that disappear. It's a beautiful, memorize it. La uhibbul afili. It is worth. فَلَمَّا أَفَلَ قَالَ لَا أُحِبُّ الْآفِلِينَ. Practice it in your life. I took it very seriously. If something happens, for example, now I am hungry, and after the class, I will have my dinner. That's my reality. So I'm telling you frankly and straight away. So I will have my dinner, God willing. So, and I know it seems to be the star of Abraham. It will satisfy me. When I eat it, it disappears. I know from my experience, previous experience, that I will be hungry again and I cannot eat the same food again. It disappeared. No, it cannot be my Lord. It means it cannot be responsible for the existence of my being. Excuse me. I have to charge. Yeah. For the sort of existence of my being who takes care of me, who really prepares everything for what my existence requires. La uhibbul afilin. But it didn't say, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't really rationally acceptable. Now, I cannot approve it rationally. My intelligence cannot really confirm it. It says, I don't love. I don't like. I don't love, which fails to really satisfy my needs. I don't love. La uhibbul afilin. Why love? It is not only logical conclusion. Whole my being, including my feelings, all my abstract qualities, not the matter. Matter doesn't reason, doesn't question. It is just flesh, meaningless being, really not in its existence, but as far as being a source of satisfaction for my expectations. So I have to really consider my human side to be satisfied, not my body, my matter, my flesh. My human side say la uhibbu. I don't love it. It is a loving. It means it doesn't really fit to my expectations of my human side. It doesn't satisfy me. So I don't like what fails to answer my questions, to answer my expectations, in order to reach certainty in my conclusion about the purpose of my existence. Yaqeen, muqaneen. So verse 76 summarizes the story of Abraham. We are going to, inshallah, read in the following verses next week onwards. We will try to find out the key point in each verse and emphasize on them, rather than losing ourselves in the story of Abraham. No, in the message mentioned in the story of Abraham is my object. Inshallah. That is me, Abraham, me, my feelings are me, darkness that my reality demonstrates in my existence, in my being, and any looking for any source which will disperse the darkness and make it meaningful and satisfactory for my being, inshallah. Okay, any question, any further comments, please?
May I? I don't want to keep you away from your dinner, but
No. It's not late at all. Come on, go ahead. Don't waste.
I just wanted to share one point that came to my mind that I think supports your approach to these two verses. Since this verse 75 starts with كذلك, I thought that as it is connected to the next verse, it might be connected also the previous verse. And I felt the need to look at the previous verse, that is 74, where Abraham goes to his father and says or asks whether he's taking these idols, asnam, as his God. And he says, well, indeed, I see you and your tribe or your people fi dalalin mubin, so in a big mistake. So in this way, we made Abraham to understand God's mighty dominion. So it made me think or feel like maybe it starts with the courage to ask if the dominant approach in our societies, or that is offered to us. I think you called this the values of civilization. The dominant approach, the courage to ask if the dominant approach makes sense in making my life meaningful. So maybe Abraham was chosen because he had the courage to question what was offered to him, and was taught the ways to see. This is why he was taught the ways to see what's behind what he sees in the universe, because he turns his eyes from what's made by humans, what's offered by humans, to what's there in the universe. And he was taught this method.
Yeah.
Because in my life, I find myself most of the time quite doubtful about taking this first step to question what's offered to me, whether it's really making my life meaningful. So long as I don't show this courage, maybe I can't go to the second stage. So yeah, that was my point.
I think understood. We are going to study the verse you are referring to in the subject or the subtitle, Abraham's relationship with the family and the society. So that's why I left it for another section of our study.
So sorry for jumping ahead then.
Sorry?
Sorry.
Yeah. No. Of course, you have to express your understanding, but it will be studied in the course of time in another context. I am just emphasizing on just Abraham's experience between darkness and looking for a light. It means meaningless existence and a meaningful explanation for it. That is very human. Now, every section will deal with Abraham's story, but not, mixed up with each other. Although Quran teaches this way, but I had to categorize it in a different way. But to share it was fair, and thank you very much. Shall I read your comment? In the chat box, you say, one, acknowledging oneself, i.e. what satisfies one's yearning for firmness and what not. Okay, is acknowledging oneself is part of God's guidance. Yes, I mean, that is how I am created. The way I am created is the Creator's guidance for me. That's how I would understand this comment. 2, a star disappearing means it is changing, although it looks like firm and unreachable to me, but sharing the same condition with the things around me, its firmness is still dependent. It means, Mohammed Said, thank you for sharing, of course. Rather than it is changing, I would say it is disappearing. It cannot sustain its existence, let alone will sustain my existence as my Lord. One of the meaning of Lord means sustainer. So it is a good point, but I would rather use another word. Rather than changing, I would say sustaining its existence. It cannot sustain its existence. As I gave the example of dinner, when I eat dinner, I may think that it is satisfying me, but it disappears. Okay. Mohammed, Nadia, Mohammed, your notes resonate with me. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Nadia, also making your comment there. Yes, of course it is meaningful, but be careful. I said to myself, be careful rather than changing. Disappearing means really not sustaining its own existence, let alone it will sustain my existence as a Lord. It means the source of existence. It cannot be my source of existence, it means, because it cannot sustain itself. Anything of this universe, even the stars, even the galaxies, cannot sustain their existence. They change and disappear as they are continuously disappearing. They are losing the previous conditions. They cannot sustain. Nothing can really sustain their existence yesterday or in the past. That is a very important aspect of creation that we should take into account and bear in mind, inshallah. Thank you very much. And I would like to have this kind of comments and also writings, whatever you have in chat box or share by speaking. It is beautiful. That is what we have to exchange our views and get into the deep meaning of every verse, try to help each other, inshallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين بحرمة